like lies. Headmistress Kumalo turned to the student assistant. Seal the room. Record the time. We will meet tomorrow with a full council presence. We left. In the corridor, 3 second years watched us go by and pretended they were only looking at the posters on the notice board. I walked past them. I did not quicken my step. I did not slow it. At dinner, Tabo told me he had added 2 pins to his map. The cases in the moon dorm had happened 10 minutes apart in 2 rooms on different floors. A group on a schedule, he said, or an old thing repeating a pattern. Does Kwanda live in that dorm? I asked. I already knew the answer. I asked to hear it said out loud. Yes, Tabo said. He won't tell me if it bothers him. Will you ask him? I asked. I did, he said. He looked at me. Then he said my pencil needed sharpening. Did you sharpen it? I asked. Yes, he said. It needed it. After dinner, I sat with Desheti near the earth terrace and watched him adjust a ward around a door. He put 4 iron nails into the frame without driving them. He tied them with a thin wire in a square and tucked the twists under the nails. Then he took a half step back and put both palms against the door. He spoke without a voice. The nails hummed in the wood and eased into a line that felt level. What does that do? I asked. Reminds the door that it should tell people when it is open and when it is closed, he said. Sometimes a door forgets. Then a draft becomes a wind, and a wind becomes a habit, and a habit becomes a problem people say is just the way things are. You sound like Gogo, I said. She taught me to test doors, he said, and people. Did I pass? I asked. You are not a door, he said. You are a person. Persons do not pass or fail in one afternoon. They do it slowly, across years. That night, I called my father. He answered on the 3rd ring. He did not say hello. He said, How is it? Organized, I said. Are you safe? He asked. I am careful, I said. He said nothing for a long moment. Then he said, Your aunt is coming by on Sunday. She will make stew. You can call her if you want to talk to someone who speaks more than 2 sentences at a time. I can talk to you, I said. You can, he said. But you will say half of what you are thinking, and I will hear a quarter. Call your aunt. She has a better ear. I will, I said. Eat, he said. Sleep. Do not make yourself soft with stories. I am learning, I said. Good, he said. Good night. He hung up. I put the phone down and looked at the ceiling until my neck hurt. Then I turned off the light. In the middle of the night, I woke because of a sound I did not hear. It was like the feeling when a kettle clicks off in another room, and the house changes shape by a fraction. I sat up. The room was dark except for the square of light from the exit sign in the corridor. I put on my shoes and my blazer. I took the prices notebook out of the pocket and put it back. I told myself that going for a walk would not fix anything, and I went anyway. The campus at that hour felt like it was holding its breath. I walked toward the quad. 2 security guards stood near the gate and talked quietly. One waved when he saw me. I waved back. I kept walking to the shadow under the colonnade. From there I could see the windows of the archive. One blind had been lowered. The line of light at the bottom edge was thin and steady. Another blind had a small notch of light where the slat did not sit flat. I watched that notch. It flickered. It went steady. It flickered again. I stood a long time. When I turned to go back, Mr. de Klerk came around the corner with a ring of keys and a folder under his arm. He saw me. He did not jump. He did not pretend surprise. Could not sleep? He asked, friendly like a receptionist. Could you? I asked. He laughed once. I sleep when the work is done, he said. He put a key in the small door at the side of the archive. He pushed the door. It did not open. He turned the key the other way, tried again, and the door moved. He went inside without looking over his shoulder. I did not follow. I went back to my bed. I woke before dawn with my cheek on the prices notebook and a line of pen ink on the side of my face where I must have turned in my sleep. The next day started like any other term day. Breakfast, roll call, 2 periods of class, a break, 2 more periods. The difference sat under the skin of the day. People watched me and made their faces look as if they were not watching me. Teachers did their work and kept more order than they needed. Small rules were enforced with a care that did not match their size. In the late afternoon, Gogo asked me to meet her in the small room again. She gave me tea. She told me we would do short work on voice. Not singing, she said. Breathing, shape, control. We did 10 minutes of breathing, and then she put a small bowl on the table. It held water. Do not move it, she said. Do not look for a show. Sit and listen. If the water has a thought, tell it your name and ask it to be still. I sat. I felt silly speaking to a bowl. I did it anyway. 5 minutes passed. The surface looked the same. Gogo nodded. That is all, she said. If you force something to happen so you can feel like you did something, you will teach your head a bad habit. We will not do that. We walked out together. On the threshold, Gogo stopped. If the book opens at night again, she said, not as a question, do not go alone. I do not need to be the one who goes with you. Take any person who knows your name and would say it back if you forgot it. I am not planning to go to the archive at night, I said. Plans are often fine, she said. Knights have their own ideas. At supper, Letha pushed a plate toward me because my plate looked bare. You don't have to like the stew, he said, but you have to eat enough of it to keep your legs under you. I like the stew, I said. It just looks like it does not like me. He laughed. Sabo asked if I had seen the headmistress that day. I said no. He said she had visited the moon dorm and spoken to the floor monitors about staying in groups. That helps with harassment, he said. It does not fix the thing in the walls. Do you think it is a person? I asked. I think a person is involved, he said. Old places rarely wake alone. After supper, Letha and Thabo walked me to the dorm. They did not say they were walking me. They just went in the same direction. When we reached the stairs, Letha turned like he had forgotten something on the dining hall table and left at a run. Thabo stood on the bottom step and looked up it like it might be a small hill. Call me if you wake and cannot move, he said. You will be able to move your eyes. I will show you a torch through the window. Follow the light. It sounds like a story. It is a practical plan. Will I need that? I asked. I hope not, he said. But hope is not a plan. I went to bed early. I woke once to turn my pillow to the cool side. I woke again because my bladder told me to. I went to the bathroom, I washed my hands, I walked back to bed. I lay down and tried to clear my head so I could return to sleep. Then I felt the shift again. Not a sound, not a light. A change in the skin of the night. I sat up. I looked at the door. I looked at the window. I told myself I was not going anywhere. Then I put on my shoes. I dialed Tabo's phone and hung up after one ring so it would mark the call. The screen on my own phone made a small square of light on the floor and went dark. I stepped into the corridor and closed the door gently behind me. I did not run. I walked. Down the stairs, along the colonnade, across the quad. The archive stood with its windows dull. No line of light showed under any blind. I reached the side door. I did not touch it. I looked at the handle. It was clean. The keyhole showed nothing. The brass plate was cold to the touch when I put my finger near it without pressing. A security guard came around the corner and stopped when he saw me. He knew my name. He used it. Esona, you cannot be here. I know, I said. I am going back now. He nodded. Thank you, he said. He walked with me to the end of the colonnade and then turned the other way. He did not ask me why I had come. He did not say he would report me. He probably already had, quietly, in the way guards do when they know the rules and the people the rules are for. I went back to bed. I lay awake. The hum from the direction of the caves came and went like someone breathing in another room. Eventually, I slept. In the morning, the school settled into weekday routine again. Headmistress Kumalo did not call me. Mr. de Klerk did not speak to me in the hall. Gogo taught a small group of us how to sit on the floor without making our legs fall asleep and how to stand without swaying after. Thabo added a dot to his map and nodded like a point had been confirmed. Letha ran extra laps on the lower field and then sat in the shade and drank water like he had finished a task he set himself. In the late afternoon, the headmistress asked me to come to her office. The room was neat. A photograph of a much younger Kumalo stood on the shelf next to a pile of rolled documents tied with red ribbon. She gestured to the chair. "Sit." I sat. "The council will meet tomorrow to review the ledger situation," she said. "Until then, you will attend classes, you will not visit the archive, and you will not experiment with any unauthorized approach to the book. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said. She looked at me a long time, like a person reading a page written in small letters. "You have done nothing wrong," she said. "I am telling you restrictions because people who have not met you will ask me what I did to keep things orderly. I need to have an answer." "I don't want to make your job harder," I said. "You already have," she said. "You did that when you were born. That is not a moral judgment. It is a fact." She saw the way I held my shoulders when she said it. She did not apologize. "I will do my job," she said. "You will do yours. Go." Outside the office, the hallway was empty. Kwanda stood at the far end near the window and looked down into the courtyard. He did not move when I opened the door. I would have walked past him, but he spoke without turning. "They will try to turn you into a rule," he said. "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means they will make other people follow or avoid you to teach a lesson that is not about you," he said. "It will feel like praise on some days and punishment on other days. It will not be love on any day." "I am not here for love," I said. He turned then. He did not smile. He did not soften the next line. "Everyone is here for love," he said. "That is why they call it power. It is the word people use when they do not want to say love out loud." He looked at my face to see if he had made me angry. I did not answer. He let the silence sit. He stepped away and left me in the corridor because that was the shape of his day and he was not going to change it for a conversation. That night, I wrote in the Price's notebook again. No power used. Price, patience. I closed it. I put it on the bedside table. I turned off the light. The campus slept. In the archive, where there was no one to see, the ledger opened by itself. A page turned. The place where Esona Mthembu should rest was clear and blank. The margin puckered like skin around a scar. A bead formed at the bottom edge of the space and swelled and held, and then let go. It fell and hit the wood. It did not soak. It rolled toward the corner and left a faint line. It was red. The book closed. The air settled. I woke with my heart going fast and my throat dry. I did not know why I woke. I did not get up. I lay still and counted my breaths until the number passed 100, and my chest did not feel tight. At dawn, a message arrived on my phone from an unknown number. It was 4 words. "Don't go alone again." I knew who sent it. He did not sign his name. I brushed my teeth. I washed my face. I dressed. I ate. I met Gogo in the small room and told her about the message. She did not ask to see my phone. She did not make the obvious joke. She said, "Good," like a person checking a box on a list titled, "Not Foolish." We walked to the archive together for the council meeting. A security guard waited at the door. He opened it for us. Inside, Headmistress Kumalo stood with 2 elders I knew and 3 I did not. Mr. de Klerk stood near the window with his hands behind his back. The ledger sat on its stand. The cloth with yesterday's red dot had been replaced by a clean one. The old one had been taken away. I tell you this because it matters. The room did not smell like dust and ink that morning. It smelled faintly of metal, like a coin held too long in a sweaty hand. Headmistress Kumalo spoke first. "We will repeat our attempt to register Miss Mthembu in the ledger. We will record the result. We will make a decision." I stepped to the stand. I said the lines Gogo had taught me. I wrote my name. The ink drew the letters and lifted. It did not sink. A thin line of faint color moved across the page above my name, like a hair settled and slid. I stepped back. I felt my throat tighten with anger I did not want to show. I looked at the headmistress. She kept her face still. Gogo said, "There will be a price for forcing the book. We should not pay it today." One elder shifted his weight and looked at Mr. de Klerk. Mr. de Klerk kept his hands behind his back. Headmistress Kumalo said, "We will not force the book." Then she changed the room with one sentence. "We will recognize Miss Mthembu as a student by decree until the ledger accepts the entry." That was how the morning ended. The elders signed a paper. I signed a copy. My name showed clear on the paper and did not lift. It did not argue. It did not matter what the paper wanted. It was not a person pretending to be a memory. It was a tool. I left the archive and walked into the sun. I did not cry. I wanted to. I did not. Letha found me and said, "Training?" I nodded. We ran a simple circuit across the lower field and back up the steps. My legs burned. My lungs worked. The work helped. In the afternoon, I went with Shetty to the Earth Terrace to watch an older student lay a ward across a hallway. He spoke the way a person reads a shopping list, each item clear. He set the nails. He checked the alignment. He asked the door for its name. He waited for the answer. He did not pretend that he heard it if he did not. When he finished, the hallway felt like a place that had decided what it was for. And that evening, Thabo and I walked along the path beside the moon dorm and counted windows with curtains moving, though no breeze touched them. We marked the places on his map. We did not talk about Kwanda. We did not need to. The map was full enough. I sat again on the chapel steps. The stone was warm for a moment and then cold. I wrote, "Council accepted decree. Ledger still refuses. Price, anger kept inside chest. Exercise helped." Kwanda crossed the far edge of the square and did not turn his head. His shadow did not double. He walked into the dark and out of my line of sight. The warning signs before the second incident were small. A draft where windows were closed. A light that dipped for a second and returned. A corridor where conversations faded a fraction too quickly, as if the walls were taking a share. People noticed and then told themselves not to be dramatic. It is easy to do that in a place built to manage unusual days. After supper, the moon dorm monitors asked students to stay in pairs. They asked without saying why. You do not have to explain much when people already know the shape of a problem. Thabo walked his hallway with a small torch that he kept in his pocket. He made sure the batteries were fresh. He texted me once. "Pins a line. 2 windows, same floor, opposite corners." I wrote back, "Stay near a person who can say your name out loud." He replied with a thumbs up and then a full stop, which meant he had read and understood and would do it, not that he was being polite. I stayed in my dorm. Nandi came by with a bag of lozenges and said she was making a second set of rounds with the house nurse. Letha was at sun drills and then planned to run the stairs until his legs complained. Chetty told me he would check the earth wards near the archive before lights out. "If a door forgets, we remind it," he said, the way a person says they will buy bread on the way home. At 9, I lay down. I had not closed my eyes when the corridor outside sounded wrong. Not loud, not a crash, a wrong shape of silence. I put on my blazer and shoes and stepped out. The hallway was empty. A door 2 rooms down stood open. The light inside was on. A first-year lay on the bed on her back. Her eyes were open. Her chest moved, but only a little. Her roommate stood with her hands on the girl's shoulders, saying her name over and over like a steady knock on a door. Ntombi, Ntombi, Ntombi. I went in and put my hand near the girl's mouth to feel the breath. It came, shallow and slow. I looked at the roommate. Keep saying her name, I said. Not fast, not loud, steady. Nandi arrived with the nurse. She put 2 fingers under the girl's jaw and then on her wrist. She's here, Nandi said. She isn't far. The nurse put a small dab of menthol under the girl's nose. The girl's eyes blinked. Her chest rose deeper and fell. It rose again. She gasped. The roommate kept saying her name. Nandi nodded. Good, keep going. The girl turned her head. She blinked again. She swallowed. The nurse put a hand on her shoulder and kept it there until her breath settled into a normal rhythm. We moved them both to the infirmary. While Nandi did the paperwork, I walked the hallway. Other rooms had their doors open. People stood with their backs against the wall, not to block the corridor, just to take up space with their bodies while something else tried to take the same space. It helped. A crowd is its own kind of ward. I texted Thabo. He did not answer. I waited 30 seconds and texted again. No answer. I called. It rang twice and went to voicemail. I called again. It rang once and cut. So, I was already moving before I finished the second call. Down the stairs, across the quad, past the chapel steps. 2 security guards stood near the Moondorm entrance. They saw my face and did not stop me. Inside, the air felt like the end of a storm. Pressure, without rain. A monitor pointed up. 3rd floor. At the top of the stairs, the corridor bent left. The first door on the right was open. Thabo lay on his bed on his back, eyes open, not seeing. A thin string hung from his hand. It led to the desk lamp, which was unplugged. He must have prepared a signal. He had not managed to use it. Kwanda stood at the foot of the bed with 3 other seniors. He lifted his hand, and the corridor light shifted down and to the side, as if he had asked it to step out for a moment. He spoke one word in a tone that did not raise his voice. Names. Me. The girl on the next bed said, Thabo. Her voice shook. She said it again, steadier. Thabo. The second senior said it. The third said it. I said it. The name filled the space. Kwanda did not say the name. He listened to the sound of it the way a mechanic listens to an engine. He moved closer to the head of the bed. He did not touch Thabo. He stood where a person would stand if they were about to lift someone but had not yet decided which way. He lifted his hand again, and the light shifted on the other side of the room. A shadow pool that had been stretching under the wardrobe drew itself in like a dog told to heel. The air thickened, then thinned. Thabo's fingers twitched. His breath caught and then dragged all the way in. He let it out in a rush that sounded like a person getting out of cold water. His eyes focused. He blinked. He looked at the lamp cord in his hand, and then at me. I wasn't far, he said, voice rough. I just lost the door. You were near, Kwanda said. You will not go that near again tonight. He turned away from the bed then, moved to the corridor door and stepped into the hallway. For a second, he leaned his shoulder against the frame like he needed it. His right hand shook hard. He put it flat against the wall until it stopped. When he came back, his face was the same as before, but the skin under his eyes looked thinner. What did you do? I asked him quietly. I put the room in a simpler shape, he said. Fewer places to get lost in. Your friend did the rest when he heard his name. What price? I asked. Time, he said. The next 20 minutes will feel like an hour if I let them, and I will forget the taste of the water I drink until my hand is empty. Sit, I said. No, he said. There are 2 more rooms. He did not push past me. He walked around. He did not ask for help. He did not ask anyone to follow. 2 seniors did anyway, because that is what people do when someone goes where the floor slopes. They cleared the second room with names and a steady hand on a wrist. In the third, a boy had stopped breathing for a count of 6 before the nurse reached him. He started again with a harsh sound that had teeth in it. When he could sit up, he cried once and stopped himself and pressed the heels of his hands against his eyes as if to put the tears back. No one told him not to cry. No one told him to do it. Everyone gave him enough space to breathe. The headmistress arrived. She did not raise her voice. She moved like someone who had done this at 3 schools and in houses with peeling paint and at her own kitchen table when a cousin could not wake. She placed monitors with small groups and assigned one senior to each end of the corridor. She told Kwanda to sit. He did not. She did not push it. When the dorm settled, I found Thabo in the hallway near the stairs. He leaned his forehead against the cool wall and breathed slow. I put a hand on his back the way a person does when they have no special skill to offer and the body still needs contact. "How many pins now?" I asked. "Too many," he said. "We can stop marking. The map is full." Then we start a new one," I said. He laughed once. "Of course you would say that." He lifted his head and looked down the corridor. Kwanda stood at the far end with his shoulder against the frame again. His eyelids lowered for a second and then lifted. He swallowed. He saw us looking. He did not glance away like a person who does not want witnesses. He held our eyes for a breath and then looked at the corridor again. He was counting the shape of the night and deciding how to budget what he had left. Headmistress Kumalo dismissed me from the dorm with a short nod and said, "Thank you." On the stairs, I passed Mr. de Klerk. He had his ring of keys and a small ledger with a pen tucked into the spine. "Busy night," he said. It was not a question. He went up. I went out. In the quad, the air was cool. I sat on the chapel steps and wrote in the prices notebook. Names help. Room shape matters. Price. Tiredness in the bones that sleep will not fix. I added, Kwanda shakes after heavy use. He keeps going anyway. Dangerous habit. Useful tonight. Hard to watch. Gogo found me there. She did not ask for the list. "You will come with me to the archive," she said. "Not because I like what is happening. Because the room needs witnesses, and the book needs to know someone is looking with a clear face." "I thought the headmistress sealed it," I said. "She did," Gogo said. "She will open it again. She called the council. They want a recorded event if there is one. They want a neat story. We will give them a true one. It is not the same thing." We walked together. 2 guards stood at the door. One opened it. Headmistress Kumalo and 2 elders were inside. Mr. de Klerk stood at the window again as if that was his assigned place. A camera sat on a tripod with a light. The student assistant held a clipboard. The ledger sat on its stand. The clean cloth waited. The room smelled faintly of metal again, stronger than in the morning. Headmistress Kumalo spoke for the camera. Date, time, council members present. Purpose: observe the ledger's behavior after hours in relation to the student Miss Esona Mthembu. She looked at me and then at Gogo. "We will not ask the student to sign," she said. "We will open the book and record any movement." Gogo said, "Good." No one moved for a 10 count. The room made small noises. The camera's fan, someone's shoe leather against the floor, the faint brush of a sleeve. Then the top third of the page lifted not up but forward, like a person peering over a railing. It settled. A ripple ran from the spine to the outer edge and back. The ink beads on my earlier attempts stayed where they were, dry and dusty. The faint smear where another name had flaked lifted and drifted down. It landed on the cloth. The camera light caught the tiny piece and made it look like a thing in its own right. It was not a thing. It was a missing part of a name. Headmistress Kumalo kept her face still. Mr. de Klerk breathed in through his nose and kept the rest of his body quiet. The elder in sun colors shifted his stance to ease his lower back. The Earth Elder did not move at all. The blank where my name should have settled widened. At the bottom edge of the rectangle, a small bead formed. It was red. It swelled and held, and then let go. It fell and hit the cloth. It soaked. The camera's light hummed louder for a second and then went back to normal. The student assistant wrote a note on the clipboard and underlined it twice. No one spoke. Not because they had nothing to say, because anything they said would be the wrong size for the room. If they made a joke, they would disrespect the page. If they said a prayer, they would make it into a play. If they argued, they would make it about themselves. Gogo stepped closer, but not close enough to touch the book. "We see you," she said to the page. "We see what you are doing and what was done to you. Both are true." The blank pulsed once, like the throat of a person swallowing hard. Headmistress Kumalo said, "Record ends," to the camera. She turned to me. "You will have a formal status pending resolution. We will not make you a lecture." She turned to Mr. de Klerk. "No copy charms on any page connected to Miss Mthembu until I say so." Mr. de Klerk smiled without showing teeth. "Of course," he said. The meeting ended. We left the archive. In the corridor, Gogo took my hand the way an aunt does when she knows you will say you are fine because you do not want to make work for anyone. "Go and sleep," she said. "If sleep does not come, sit and count your breaths. If counting does not help, drink water and be patient with your head. Not all problems can be met at once." I walked back through the quad. The night had thinned. The sky held a pale line on the far edge. I went up the stairs to my dorm. I paused on the landing between the first and second floors and listened. A pair of students whispered on the balcony. A kettle clicked off in a kitchen down the hall. A window hinge creaked as it decided whether to let the breeze in. Normal sounds. At my door, I took out the Price's notebook again and wrote, "Archive after hours. Recorded." Page widened blank. Red drop again. Price. The feeling of standing next to a bad habit that has been taught to act like a rule. I put the notebook down. I sat on my bed. My phone vibrated. A new message from the same number as before. "They will double lock the door tonight. Don't try it." I typed, "I won't." I erased the second sentence I wanted to add and did not send it. It would have sounded like a thank you, and I was not ready to put that word there. I lay down. I slept. Sometime before dawn, I woke and went to the window. The field below looked flat and dark. The chapel steps held their shape. The colonnade cut a clear line across the courtyard. Kwanda crossed under it from left to right. He did not hurry. He did not move like someone sneaking. He moved like a person finishing a job. He stepped through a slice of moonlight. For one heartbeat, his shadow split again. Two shapes, one his and one broader at the shoulders. He felt it. His head turned a fraction. He did not look down at the shadow. He looked up at the sky as if to take a measure. Then he walked on. I tell you that because it is the simplest version of the truth. I saw a boy walk across a courtyard after helping other boys breathe. I saw his shadow double. I saw him notice. I saw him not break stride. I will not draw a lesson from it yet. There will be time for lessons later. For now, this is the end of the first day. Morning came. The first light touched the mountain. The school started again, because that is what schools do. People woke. They muttered. They brushed their teeth. They argued over a kettle. They ran to make a roll call on time. The ledger sat in a sealed room and did nothing anyone could see. The page that would not take my name held its blank. The drop on the cloth turned brown. The camera waited to be moved. The guards changed shift. I stood at the window and said out loud, once, because Gogo had taught me to, "My name is Esona Mthembu. I was born. I am here." Then I put on my shoes. Morning looked ordinary. It was not. The corridors were clean, the kettles boiled, People lined up for toast. The difference sat under the surface like grit under a bandage. In the moon dorm, Tabo made tea with hands that were steady again. He showed me the lamp cord he had tied to his wrist. "It was a good plan," he said. "I did not use it. I lost the door." He did not rush the words. He did not minimize what had happened. "You came back when you heard your name," I said. "I did," he said. "I will keep the cord anyway." Nandi did a second round of checks. She looked into eyes. She counted breaths without a watch and then confirmed with a watch. She wrote numbers on a small pad. "Today is for repair," she said. "No one needs to be brave for show." At breakfast, Letha moved through the room like a person scanning for fire exits. When he spotted me, he raised his chin. We ate together. He pushed the jam toward me. He did not ask what the archive looked like at night. He did not want to picture it before classes. Kwanda was not in the dining hall. I did not go looking for him. People did not say his name out loud, but they checked doorways with their eyes in case he was there. The seniors who had stood with him the night before kept to themselves. They ate in silence and left their plates stacked neatly. Halfway through the period after breakfast, the intercom clicked on. Headmistress Kumalo's voice came through the small speakers high on the walls. "All students to the main hall in 5 minutes. House leaders, bring your groups. Staff, bring your classes." The hall filled. The room had a low hum of talk that stopped when Kumalo stepped up. She did not stand on the stage. She stood on the floor in front of it. It changed the way we looked at her. She was not above us. She was in front of us. "We had incidents last night," she said. She used the word we had already used among ourselves. "The response was good. You stayed with each other. You kept names moving in the air. You called for help when you needed it. Thank you." She let the thank you sit a moment. Then she continued. "From now until further notice, no one walks alone after sunset. That includes seniors. You move in pairs. If you need an exception, you come to me or to your head of house and you ask. We will say no unless there is a clear reason to say yes." She looked toward the moon section. "You will keep windows latched after lights out and curtains open. Floor monitors will carry torches. Anyone who wakes and cannot move will listen for their name and count to 5. If you reach 5 and cannot draw a full breath, the monitor will shake you. You will return. It is not a test of courage." She turned her head slightly. "On resonance, there will be no public demonstrations. No pair will conduct an unsanctioned test. You do not have to like this rule. You do have to keep it." Eyes shifted toward me and then away. She did not follow those looks. She kept talking. "We will also move to provisional supervision for any student whose power is not yet assigned to a house. That includes Miss Esona Mthembu. It is not punishment. It is a practical step." She paused. "Last, the archive is sealed to students. Staff will use it as needed. There is no rumor worth going to the archive for at night. If you have a question, ask a teacher. You will not be sent away because you asked." She stepped back. The hall stayed quiet a moment. Then the head of Sun stood, said, "Sun with me," and the room broke into controlled movement. Outside, the weather was clear. The mountain looked the same as it had the day before. I walked to class. On the way, 2 second years who had stood in the corridor during the incidents nodded to me. They did not whisper. They did not turn their heads to watch me from behind. A first year from my dorm walked close enough that if I tripped, she could catch me, and far enough that it would not look like she thought I would fall. And between periods, Mr. de Klerk caught up with me near the library. "The decree copy is ready," he said. "You can collect it from admin." "Thank you," I said. He kept pace. "The council is careful with precedent," he said. "You will hear that word a lot. It means they do not like surprises that come with paperwork." "I don't like surprises either," I said. "You will fit right in," he said, smiling. He peeled away toward the staff corridor. His shoes did not squeak on the floor like everyone else's. I noticed it because the hall was so quiet. I collected the decree. It was a single page. It said I was recognized as a student by council order pending ledger integration. It had 6 signatures. It had a 7th line left blank. I ran a finger under that blank line. The skin there felt colder than the rest of the paper. And in the early afternoon, a monitor came to fetch me. "Headmistress Kumalo would like to see you," she said. She did not add now, but it felt like now. The office looked the same as before. A pot plant stood on a low table near the window. The leaves were glossy. The soil was damp. Kahumalo stood at the window and watched a group of Earth students carry a crate of iron rods to the training area. "Sit," she said, still looking out. I sat. "I will not tell you a story about yourself," she said. "That is not my job. I will tell you a fact about this place." She turned. "This school sits on agreements made by people who are not here to explain why they made them. Some of those people did good work. Some did harm. Most did both at different times. The ledger is part of those agreements. We can fix a building when it cracks. We can replace a lock. We cannot fix an agreement by pretending it did not exist. We can only decide what to do next when the agreement fails to hold." She did not wait for a reply. She continued. "I'm afraid of 2 things," she said. "The first is obvious. I'm afraid a student will die on a night when I've made a bad call. I go to bed with that fear. I wake with it. It is not new. The second is less obvious. I am afraid that we will teach the school to ignore you, to keep the peace of a meeting room." She said it without softening. "I have seen that done. People called it prudence. It was not prudence. It was cowardice with a good pen." We sat with that a moment. Then she did something I did not expect. She pushed a glass across the desk. It held water. "Drink," she said. "You are doing too much on not enough." I drank half the glass. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Keep learning," she said. "Keep records. Do not go to the archive alone. Do not sing to the ledger. Do not try to prove anything in public. That last one is important. We will be slow. People will say that makes us weak. They are wrong. Slow is not the same as weak." She added one more thing. "Stay away from Kwanda Zulu when you can," she said. "This is not a judgment on him. It is logistics. You are both near edges. If you stand at the same edge on the same night, the ground will give." "He helped in the dorm," I said. "I know," she said. "He will help again. And still, do not give the council a reason to turn you into an example in the first week." "I will try," I said. "Good," she said. "That is all." I left her office with the decree in my folder and a feeling in my chest that was not anger and not relief. It was a steadying line, the kind you cut with a knife through a loaf so everyone knows where to slice. On the steps outside, Letha waited with 2 apples. He threw one to me. "We're running the lower field," he said. "No excuses. We ran the field. We counted laps. We did not set a record. We did not try to. We just ran until the breath found a rhythm that did not hurt. And after drills, I met Gogo for the short voice session we had scheduled. We did the same plain work as before. Sit, stand, breathe, say the 3 lines. She did not add new tasks. She did not hurry. When we finished, she took out a stack of old admission forms and a pen. "Write your name 10 times on each of these," she said. "Do not rush. Do not try to make each one perfect. Make them legible." "Why?" I asked. "Because there are places in this school that want to make your name a problem," she said. "You will make your name ordinary on paper until your hand is bored of it. It will help when the room is not friendly." I wrote Esona Mthembu until the shape of the letters felt like steps I could take in the dark without kicking the leg of a chair. When I finished, she flipped the stack and handed it back. "Keep them," she said. "You may never need them. You will be glad you have them if you do. Late afternoon passed into early evening. The school followed its usual path. The sun yard glowed for a time and then cooled. The water room filled and emptied with the sound of bowls and breath. The moon courtyard stayed quieter than usual. The earth terrace finished a set of drills and packed iron away. At supper, Tabo drew a small square on the corner of his napkin and showed me. "No new pins," he said. "That is good." "Good," I said. I ate slow. I watched people file their plates. I saw 2 seniors slip vitamin C tablets into their water because someone had said it helps. It does not hurt. It makes people feel like they are doing something. Sometimes, that is enough. After supper, the campus moved into the evening rule set. Pairs after dark, monitors with torches, windows latched. I went to the chapel steps, sat for 10 minutes, then stood. I was not going to the archive. I told myself that twice. I started toward the dorm. Gogo stood at the corner of the colonnade. "Come," she said. She did not explain. She did not need to. I followed her to the archive because this time was with her, and because the guard at the door opened it only when he saw her face. Inside, Headmistress Kumalo stood near the ledger. Mr. de Klerk stood near the window again. One elder sat in a chair with a blanket over her knees, even though it was not cold. A camera was set, but the light was not on. Kumalo nodded to me. "We will open the book. We will watch. No one will touch the page." Gogo said, "We will watch." We did not speak again. Gogo moved the cloth so a clean section lay under the lower edge of the page. She stepped back. She placed her hands palm down at her sides. She did not make a gesture. She stood and breathed. The ledger opened without a hand on it. The paper did not scrape. It lifted smoothly. The page that held my failed entries sat in the middle. The blank rectangle where my name should rest looked wider than it had that morning. I could see the edge of the fiber where ink normally sits. It was clean. Too clean. A faint rustle sounded from the spine, like the noise a mouse makes in dry grass. Letters began to form inside the blank. They were small at first, as if the page were testing whether it was allowed to write in its own empty space. The strokes thickened. The words were plain. No flourishes, no old forms. A name for a crossing. The sentence sat there, black at first, then turning dark red as if the book had learned a new habit in the dark and was trying it out in daylight. No one moved. No one told a story about what it meant. We looked at the words we could read. Gogo said in a quiet voice that did not carry beyond the stand, "We will not pay that price today." Headmistress Kumalo said, "Record the time." The student assistant wrote it down without lifting his head. The letters did not fade. They held. The blank did not close. The ledger did not turn the page. Kumalo looked at me. "Do not answer what you did not ask," she said. It was not a proverb. It was an instruction. You will not give the book a name to trade. Not for a door, not for a river, not for a neat ending to a meeting. My mouth was dry. I did not try to speak. I nodded. We waited another minute. The words held their shape. The red did not darken further. Gogo stepped forward 1/2 step, then stopped. The book did not move. "Close the room," Kumalo said. "We are done." We left the archive. On the steps outside, the air felt cooler than it had when we went in. Gogo walked with me as far as the chapel. "That sentence is a hook," she said. "It will catch something if we let it. We will not let it now." "Do you know what it points to?" I asked. "Yes," she said, "but this is not the hour for that river. Tomorrow we go to class. Tomorrow you stay with people who can say your name out loud. Tomorrow you do ordinary work. That is part of how we live through a school that sometimes wants to be a story." She left me at the steps. I sat and looked at the square of sky between the roofs. I did not try to pull meaning where I did not have it. I was tired. I stood and went to my dorm. In the corridor, a first year had set a kettle to boil, and then sat on the floor with her back against the wall so she would not forget it. "I will turn it off when it clicks," she said. "I do not trust my ears when I am in bed." "That's a good plan," I said. In my room, I wrote the last lines of the day in the Price's notebook. Assembly, new rules, no walking alone after dark, no public resonance, archive sealed to students. Meeting with Kumalo, she named her fear. She said slow is not weak, she is right. Archive at night with permission. Sentence appeared, a name for a crossing. Price, restraint, did not answer. I closed the book. I turned off the light. I lay down. The campus settled. The wind lifted and fell. The guards passed the colonnade at the top of the hour. The ledger lay in a sealed room with a sentence inside a box where my name should sit. The red held. The page did not close. Far off in the dark, water moved. I did not hear it with my ears. I slept.